C4. I'm here today sitting with Pastor Dave, wanting to talk to you and some follow-up about the plan. As you know, a few weeks ago, the month of May, we had a series of nights, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night, where we invited you as a church to come and hear about the plan of the future the next 5 years is going to look like here at C4. And so we said that we would follow up with you, and so here we are. Obviously, you're noticing that Pastor John is not here with us. That's because he's already doing the thing that we talked about in the plan under the category of champion. He's actually outside of the church this week. He's teaching at Tyndale at seminary. He's in his happy place, as I like to say. He's teaching about spiritual conflict, and so he wasn't able to be with us today. We miss him terribly, and here we are. So let's just dive right in.
Sure.
Dave, tell me about this series of nights. How was it? What was your feedback?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Well, first of all, just the overwhelming feedback that we got was that people were just really excited about the plan. I mean, over the 4 nights, we had around 450 people come, which is a great representation of sort of the core of our church. And so we really feel like we got the message out there. But the biggest piece of feedback that we got was that people were just excited about the plan. They appreciated, hearing some of the details about where our church is going. And we're just generally very enthusiastic about the theme and about the things that we say that we're going to be doing as a church. So that in itself was just a huge win, I think, for us, just to get that kind of feedback from people. I mean, you were there all but one night, I think, and hosting, and I think, what were some of the things that maybe you heard even from people? Yeah,
it's true. Generally, I mean, I heard a lot of, for those who weren't able to be there, I heard some regret, if people were on vacation or they were out of town or there were just other things going on and they couldn't be here. There were so many people, even more that out of our core, that wish they could have been there and just weren't able to. But generally, I'm just hearing so much positive feedback, and even on social media and stuff like that, hearing people's response coming out of these meetings and being excited, looking forward to the future of our church and having something in their hands to really see where we're going to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we had this email, the plan at c4church.com. It still exists, where people could submit questions and just ask for anything clarifying. And what were some things that came up in that for you? What are some things that were themes coming out of that? I mean, beyond like positive, enthusiastic response.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's great. And that's really what we want to address, through this video. We want to, just try and answer some of those things. I think one of the things, I mean, there was a number of things that we heard, and we could talk about each one of them. I think one of the things that we heard was about, okay, so what now? Right. So like more details. And specifically, the language of venues really seemed to capture, people's attention. Yeah. Obviously we just wrapped up the 10-week on-site venue in Auditorium B. And so people are saying, so what now? What's going to happen now? And, so we could talk a little bit more about that right now. Like this past Sunday was the first Sunday back in one venue, behind us here.
Well, all of us adults were sitting in here.
Yeah.
Fusion was still joining us for worship, which they'll be doing through the summer as well.
Yep.
And we were jammed in here on Sunday.
Yeah, well, we were about 90% full. I mean, the numbers, are in from this past Sunday, and 90% full. And, I was sitting right at the back, and it felt really, really full. And, that's a good thing on one level because, we love that more and more people are coming to C4. I mean, it's June. And it was a gorgeous weekend, and there's still...
People still want to come to church.
People still want to come to church. Amazing, right? But I think that just shows, some of the momentum in our church and some of what's happening. And so come the fall in September, we need to go back to Auditorium B again on site. Okay. And so we're going to do that in September. Because we need to create more space in here and some space over there, because it's really our firm belief that more and more people will come. Right. And then, go ahead.
So then we're talking this summer, we're all going to be back in this room.
Yeah.
The 10-week experiment, lab, test pilot of Auditorium B, a second on-site worship venue, is finished. We were all back here. We saw, even on this Sunday, how full this room was. We know, again, we keep saying it, that when a room is 70% full, it feels full, and when it's 80% full, there is essentially no more room. Right. And so on this Sunday, we were 90% full. Yeah. And so we're over capacity, and we're in June, and it's exciting, and it's a good energy. But looking towards the fall, we want to relaunch that venue more permanently, or at least through the ministry year.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Taking what we've learned out of this 10-week pilot and trying to get better and better as we go. Taking what we've learned both for this on-site venue, but then also looking towards the future and off-site stuff. So can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so
that's big news.
Oh, it is big news, and we're going to launch our first off-site venue, Lord willing, around Easter of next year, so Easter of 2015, and in the Port Perry area. And so we're in behind the scenes now, meeting with the people who are in a connect group who are from that area, who are already starting to meet together to form that core. We need to do all of the work now of finding a place to meet, and if we're going to have to hire someone as a site pastor for that area, that's being talked about and is actually in our budget for this coming year. And then take all of the learnings and everything that we learned through this 10-week experiment, and then applying that to doing something that's not in the same building. So if something goes wrong, we can't march everybody over into this auditorium. But now we're going to be doing it, off-site, and so we have all of that lead time to just really hone all of that down. Right. But it's going to happen, and again, the reason why it's happening, Joe, is that we want more and more people to be able to invite locally to an expression of C4.
Right.
I mean, because we keep hearing over and over again, that's why people are coming. Because they love what's happening at C4. And so we just need to localize that a little bit more. And the first place we're going to do that is in the Port Perry area.
And again, I know that we're hearing over and over that people are coming from this sort of northern direction, this Port Perry Uxbridge spot. Mm-hmm. And they're enthused and wanting to come here, but they know that their friends, their neighbors, the people on their hockey teams, all these types of people that they would love to reach out to, but it's just too far for them to come down here to Ajax. And so what an opportunity then for us to really plant ourselves amongst them as they've invited us and asked us to come.
Yeah, what's so great about this is, it's people coming to us and saying, we are actively reaching out to our neighbors, and we just want to tear down all the barriers. Right. And so C4 as a church, we get to be in this great position where we draw alongside people who are already doing what Jesus wants them to do. They're reaching out to their friends and their neighbors and their own community, and we just get to come along and help provide the weekend experience and the other ministries, because we know what we do really well, and we're able to just transplant that into their community. And so now we actually sort of really all work together in this, and we just become another expression of the body of Christ in the Port Perry area, working alongside other churches that are reaching out too.
I was hoping you would say that, making sure that we're doing that well in alignment with other churches and communication with the local community about how we can work together on that. Yeah, I mean, Pastor John and I have already met with one of the significant pastors up in the area and had a conversation, and we're going to continue to try and foster great relationships with the other churches, because we say it all the time here, like, we're not saying that the churches in Port Perry are not doing it right. I mean, there are great churches in Port Perry, and they are reaching out to their neighbors and their friends. But we say it all the time right here. We're not the only church in Durham. We're not necessarily the best church in Durham. We're just a church that has really focused in on who we want to reach, and we reach that kind of target very, very well. And so we just want to add that expression to Port Perry. So we're adding to the body of Christ in Port Perry. We're not taking over in any kind of sense. Another big announcement that we had coming out of this was capital campaign, $3.5 million, talking about launching into that in this next ministry year. How do we get to that number? Do you think that's achievable? Why did you choose that?
Yeah, I mean that's
well,
a
not you. Why did?
How did we come up with that? Yeah, exactly. I didn't just do it by myself. Yeah. And actually, that is important. I mean, 2 years ago, we knew that we had to make some changes to the building, and we put a team of people together, both staff and volunteers from our church, volunteer leaders, and we met with an architect and we talked about our needs. And coming out of that, the architect made a number of different suggestions, and really it's being driven by, first of all, children's ministries. I mean, we're talking about taking our gym and converting it into 2 floors, with the whole bottom floor and that whole south wing of our church becoming dedicated to children's ministries, because there's enormous growth happening in children's ministries. And then upstairs would be a venue now, an extended or expanded venue for Fusion, and some midweek ministries could use that, because that's another high growth area. So, as we see more and more adults come to the church, here's what's happening is they're bringing their kids. And so it's really being driven around that.
Or bringing their parents.
Yeah, we hear that too. So, we want to really, lean into that as a church. church. And so, you know, just those two areas alone is about $2 million just to make those kinds of changes. And then, you know, as we hire more and more staff, and we're anticipating, you know, growing to a church of 3,500 to 4,000, we're going to need some more staff. We have nowhere to put them, like literally nowhere to put staff. And so we need to just...
I worked in a closet for a year.
Yeah, you did. I've had you in some strange places, actually. And so, yeah, you've been in the lobby, you've been all over the place. So we actually need to just, you know, retrofit our office space and expand it a little bit. And by moving children's ministries, we actually gain some of that space. So we really need to do that. That's probably another $400,000 or $500,000. And then just some miscellaneous other things, plus the seed money for this off-site venue. Like we need, you know, sound systems and like, you know, children's ministry stuff. We need all kinds of things.
And so why do you think, I mean, based with the consultants that you're working with, why is that number achievable? Or where does that come from? Yeah, well, the company that we're working with right now is called KMA, and they've done a whole stack of campaigns. And what they tell us, a general rule of thumb that they've experienced, but also many congregations have experienced, is that you can raise up to about 3 times to 3.5 times your annual operating budget. So a $3.5 million campaign is only just over twice our annual budget. Like, it's just over twice. So in terms of, you know, just the general high-level stats, we're well within that. So KMA and our leadership here think it's really doable in our congregation, you know, to do this. Right. So wrapping up, is there anything more you want to say? I mean, there's so much to this plan. We can't cover everything, but what is your sort of closing thoughts?
I think one of the things that I'd like to say to people is that, you know, this is the plan, you know, at still a certain level, and maybe it's like a 10,000-foot level. And people are sometimes asking detailed questions, like, what does it mean for my specific area that I serve in, and how does the plan rollout affect what I'm doing? And what I would say is the staff are working hard at, you know, drilling right down to help this plan hit the ground. And so if you've got questions, I would go and ask the pastor who is leading that particular ministry area, the one that you're involved in. So if you're involved in children's ministries and you want to know more about it, go to Pastor Jillian, right? And of course, I'm always available. You know, I love questions, and so if people want to, you know, email into the plan at c4church.com, they can do that, or come see me. But really, for details, go to the person who is the pastor in charge of your area.
Well, thanks, Dave. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I hope this has cleared up a little more, giving you some more insight into where we're going and what we're working on here at the church. We're so glad that you're here. We love that you're a part of it. We love your enthusiasm. Just keep encouraging. If you see, you know, people who are serving or who are leading in some capacity, would you just encourage them? Just love on them, cheer them on. We love doing that for one another around here, and we're going to need more and more of that as we go forward. We're excited about the future of the church. We're excited about this plan, and we know that you are too. So keep engaging with us about that, and we look forward to what we're going to do together under God's leading.